Libra, this is your week ahead astrology forecast from Astrology Motivation by Born Without Boundaries Tarot. Welcome, guys. My name is Michelle. In this video, we're going to go through the major planetary aspects and transits for this week and specifically dig down into how they impact Libra's natal suns. So what do I mean by that? How do I know where your natal sun is? I don't. You do. You do because of your birth chart. And if you want to draw up or create a free natal chart, then you could just check any search engine and search free natal chart, and you could definitely do it to find out what degree in Libra your natal sun sits on. If your natal sun sits between 0 and 10 degrees, you are in the first of three decans, which is a group of 10 degrees of Libra. So you would be Libra 1. If your natal sun is between If your natal sun is between 10 and 20 degrees Libra, then you are Libra 2s. And then if your natal sun is between 20 and 30 or 20 and 29 degrees Libra, you are Libra 3s. So there's a big difference between the beginning of Libra and the end of Libra. It really marks a huge relationship difference between your natal sun and the planet it's interacting with. So it's important to make those distinctions. So first, where I'm going to start out is what impacts all of us, any big transits, major transits this week between March 28th and April 3rd is the time that I'm covering in this video. And then what will impact all Libras that you should pay attention to, which is basically where Venus is and what's happening to Venus, and then dig down into how it's specifically impacting all your natal suns. And I encourage you to watch the whole video, because if you read some of the comments below, you'll see that some people still resonate with decans that are near to them or close to them, especially if you're right on the cusp. And yes, absolutely, that can happen. I consider an aspect within 5 degrees and under, and some people go all the way up to 10. So mine's much narrower, and that's where that other kind of energy, those other kind of vibes they're picking up are coming from. Because yes, an aspect is still an aspect within 10 degrees technically, but it's really only strong 5 degrees and under, and so that's what I focus in on. And that's why you're experiencing it and why it's important to watch the entire video. So let's start with what's impacting everybody. This week, actually, at the very end of this week, or the time frame I'm covering, on April 3rd, on Monday, next Monday, Mercury is going to move into Taurus. And that's universally going to impact everyone, because Mercury behaves differently in Taurus than it does in Aries. It really settles down. It slows down a bit. It's more logical, it's extraordinarily pragmatic, and it's slower moving, not in terms of intelligence, but just in terms of what it feels safe talking about, saying, how quickly it communicates, and where its mind is. So a Mercury in Taurus is practical. That's the best way to sum it up. And it is respectful, and it is I guess conservative in the way that it shares its ideals and ideas, but Mercury in Taurus can also be decadent in what it focuses on. You know, there's a sensuality in Taurus that would impact Mercury, and so Mercury definitely has a sense of focusing more on luxurious items, things that are pretty, things that are attractive, maybe more glamour oriented if your mind drifts to that, if you're impacted by Mercury, especially if you're a Gemini, or nobody's going to be watching, but especially Geminis or Virgos, and suddenly you're reading more fashion magazines. That could also be an impact of Mercury on Taurus, but mostly Mercury in Taurus is very practical and respectful, sort of a dignified way of presenting itself. So how are you being impacted directly this week? Well, let's start with Venus, shall we? Because Venus is in Taurus as well. Mercury enters Taurus at the very end of this week. So it's not going to conjunct Venus right now, but Venus is conjunct Uranus this entire week, and that's big. That's just going to impact you, because Uranus has sort of that strange, outside of the box, rebellious impact. And so ultimately, this may not be something that you feel tremendously, but it might cause agitation, to be honest with you. It may cause a feeling of, what I used to be okay with being the same, and Tauruses tend to like things staying the same. If you're feeling inside your gut now, I want to change. I want to change, especially change your looks. Because remember, Uranus has sat in the middle of your house, of the house of Taurus, for years now. It's been there. It's dead center at this point, and it's going to be there for a couple more years. So ultimately, there has been Uranus causing trouble and bringing all kinds of your traditional value systems, what your life is like, what you value, bringing it up into question and breaking it apart, or breaking those structures globally or nationally, breaking those structures apart so that you have to have a different relationship with what used to make you feel secure. But when Venus, your ruling dignitary, compiles or conjuncts Uranus, you start to be focused on that energy. And Venus rules the energy of sensuality and luxury and money and beauty and attraction. So ultimately now that's what's going to be focused on, the change, right? And rebelling against. So if you've had the same look for too long, you're like, if you've been a brunette for too long, you might suddenly want to go blonde or pink hair, depending on how rebellious you're willing to go. If you've worn glasses your whole life, this may be the time when you decide, I want to get contacts finally, or LASIK surgery, right? It's a time when if your relationship has really stagnated, you might start getting restless. Like things that you thought were really sweet that your spouse used to do might just irritate you this week, because it's like, oh, flowers again. And you may wonder, why did I think that? Because I love flowers and I love my spouse. But it's because Venus has now conjuncted Uranus, and she's demanding something different. And everything that she rules is demanding something different. And since she is your ruling dignitary, it could just impact you that way, Libra. I know that everything is happening in Taurus. I understand it's not that Venus is not conjuncting your natal sun, that Uranus is not conjuncting your natal sun. But because Venus is conjuncting Uranus, there's just a twist. There is a rumble to what you've grown accustomed to. And she is in Taurus, so she's talking about those traditional values, things that have lasted for a long time. Wherever she is, she's going to impact you. So there's a sense of whatever you've done for a while might start irritating you. And she only is conjunct Uranus for the next week. So it's not going to impact you forever, and which is why I'm telling you about this. Don't make any huge changes. You might feel like making huge changes, but know that these impulses, which are kind of peripherally impacting you, these impulses will not last forever. So you don't want to make a decision that will last forever that you might not like when the end of this week comes. It could impact your romance life. If you're single, especially, a sense of a whirlwind romance that's odd and different. And if you're willing to just let it be what it is and indulge in the sensuality of the moment, it'll be great. But if you try to make it last too long, it could be very toxic, it could be very unhealthy. So let's see if this energy is impacting your natal suns directly. And I can tell you that it's quincunx to your natal suns. So once again, frustration at the most, and at the most it'll be to Libra 2s, right? Because that's where that tight quincunx is going to form, since this is all happening in the second decan of Taurus. So it's an irritation, it's a frustration. It'll actually probably frustrate you more, like, why am I feeling this way, than you being frustrated with your spouse, for example, about, giving you the same kiss on the head. It's like all of a sudden it's like it's not good enough, or you would have liked something different, and you're like, why do I feel it? So just kind of like an irritation and a frustration, just an FYI, could bring some things to your attention, like maybe I would like to try something else. But I think you'll have enough control over that energy for you to finally say to yourself, okay, maybe I want to change up my hair color, but maybe I don't do it yet. Maybe I just wait till the end of this week and think about what changes I might want to make, instead of rushing into just changing for change's sake. FYI, please do avoid change just for change's sake, because it's not long-lived change, and anything like that would make a long-term decision here could I would just wait till after the end of this week for that conjunction to clear, for you to have more of a clear mind and say, okay, I do want to change, but this is the direction I should do it in, instead of just doing the most over-the-top thing I could possibly do in the moment. And I think you'll have enough control over it to be able to do that. So let's double down now on how all of this energy is impacting your natal suns. Libra 1, your natal suns are trine to Pluto, that we know just moved into Aquarius. It's in 0 degree Aquarius. So very early Libra. So Libras who have their birthday, especially on the Virgo cusp, are going to be predominantly impacted by Pluto for the beginning of this year, for the next couple of months. And basically, all Libra ones are going to be impacted by Pluto all year long. You have been anyway. Your natal sun is trine to Pluto, so there's actually some sort of harmony or harmonizing or rebalancing that is helping and aiding you guys and aiding how you feel about yourself. You know, if Pluto's destruction reveals something, it'll actually create waves that balance things out for you and make things more fair for you. So there'll be a comfort level with you guys that you are truly blessed with. Your natal suns are square to Mars, because Mars is in the very first degrees of Cancer, just entered Cancer last week. No, on Saturday. So at the very, 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 very tip, very, very beginning. So once again, Libra ones who are on the cusp of Virgo, especially you guys. What does that mean when your natal sun is square to Mars? Well, current sun was square to current Mars last week, and I think everybody could feel it. There's a pugilism to it. There's a pop-offishness to it. There's a, I want to do something, I want to take action now. And since this is impacting your natal sun, you can expect to get that kind of frustrated, heated, almost angry energy that you're going to have to translate, or you're going to have to focus into positivity and forward progress. If you allow it to grab a hold of you and control you, you could really do some damage. You could really do some damage to yourself by taking risks that you shouldn't have taken, right? So watch out for being overreactionary and over impulsive this week. That's what you should definitely look out for. And all that extra energy, use it to sort of channel it into, you know, pushing harder at work, or like doing more on something that you care about, but not on something that you don't know about yet. That would be silly, and that would, you know, almost open you up to risking an injury of whatever you're acting upon. So just be aware of that energy this week. And then you also have an opposition. Now, I wanted to say this, all Libras, if you are feeling pop-offish, if you are feeling like, what is this beneath my skin right now? Almost like, and I wrote this down, you're feeling that your fate is in someone else's hands. All Libras. It is because there is a stellium. 4 planets. I think there's a lot of energy in Aries right now, and you're in a natural opposition to it. And oppositions are almost like blind spots. It's something that keeps you constantly active, and it's pushing you, but you're not in control of the push. So there's a sense of feeling like, since there's so much energy opposite you now, it just feels like you're just not you just aren't. You don't want to be pushed, and maybe you're being pushed in directions you don't want to be pushed in. So there's so much energy in opposition for you. Just note that for all of you. That's going to be something that you feel for a while, until planets start moving out of Aries, and it'll relieve you a little bit. Right now, Mercury is in Aries, and it drops out this week. Like I said, it drops out by April 3rd. We're not going to see Jupiter move out for a while. We're not going to see Chiron move out for a while, but we are coming closer to the sun moving out. So there's just a sense of, little by little over this next couple of weeks, you will start to feel that kind of frustrating energy dissipate for all of you. Now for Libra ones, your natal sun is in direct opposition to the current sun, but that's only till Saturday. After Saturday, the sun drops into the second decan of Aries, in which case it will then be in opposition to Aries 2. But especially you guys that are right on the cusp between the two, between decant 1 and decant 2. So those of you who are born, say, at the very, 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 very late, very, very late October to the beginning of October, very, very late September to very early October. So say September 29th maybe to October 3rd. It's you guys that'll feel this push mostly this week, this opposition between suns. When the current sun opposes your natal sun, there is that sense of not knowing who you are or not feeling like yourself. Feeling like you have to prove yourself, or questioning, what is my life purpose? What is my faith system? It's not a dark night of the soul, but it is kind of a soul searching kind of moment for you. So that will just create a little bit more tension for you guys. Aries 2, after Saturday, Sunday, Monday, you guys will start to feel this, but that'll be for the people who have their natal suns in the very beginning of Aries 2. So that would be October 1st, 2nd, 3rd. You guys will feel it mostly then, maybe into October 4th. Yeah, it's just a sense of not feeling confident, not feeling as confident as you normally would, right? Or feeling overconfident in ways that are cocky and not really based on true confidence, could be exacerbated into arrogance. So you might want to watch out for that as well. Libra 2s. You guys, your natal suns are actually quincunx to that Venus conjunct Uranus. So you guys are going to be impacted by that directly, and you're going to be the most frustrated by it. Most frustrated by that sense of, why is this agitating me? I like things this way. But don't resist it. The way to deal with difficult transits is don't resist them, learn from them. Think, well, what am I curious about, or what might I want to try? Don't resist them, because the more you resist, the worse they get. If you just kind of ease back and say, what was I thinking? What would I liked to have happened? And maybe I should try that. Maybe not just go full into it, right? But try that. Maybe if I was irritated by the kiss on the head that usually melts my heart, maybe I go up to my spouse and say, give him a peck on the cheek, or give him a peck on the lips, and try something different. It's okay to try something different, but the more you resist the frustration, the more frustrating it'll get. So just FYI, especially revolving or around especially with situations that revolve with your money, your value, your looks, your beauty system, your sensuality, and your attractiveness, or who you're attracted to. Now, your natal suns sit by Saturday, like I said, in opposition to the current sun. They are also in opposition to Chiron, in opposition to Jupiter. Jupiter's toeing the line by the end of this week, going toward the third decan of Aries, but still it's impacting Aries too. And so there's an opposition to Jupiter, which could be egotism. It could be, once again, arrogance, wanting things to be too big, going too far without knowing enough. Any opposition to Jupiter, in order to counter it or calm it down, you should just try to focus on details. It'll be very difficult for you to focus on details and to keep your wits about you when it comes to, you could get a big head. You could get a big head about yourself when you have an opposition to Jupiter. So just be aware and sort of try to look at more details before you take a compliment in such a flattering light. Let's put it that way. Opposition to Chiron is tough. That's been there for a while. You've been dealing with that. So dealing with a lot of frustration, pain, suffering. How do I make sense of this? Feeling like you're not good enough is what it does when it's in opposition to your natal sun. So you have opposition between Chiron and Jupiter, conflating this energy of, am I not good enough? What will make me good enough? It could be just a little too mind-blowing and a little too much. Know that it's the universe putting you in this situation to try to teach you something. If you have insecurities about yourself, this is a good time to write them down, work on them, even maybe work on them with a professional. Always a good thing. If something's really bothering you about your self-esteem issues, it'll come out at this time, and you should definitely not believe it, but you should believe that it's happening, and absolutely go get yourself some help. 100%, it would be a great time to start that work. We have then Libra 3s. Now, Libra 3s, you guys, your natal sun is trine to Saturn, which is a very favorable position. You want to be in harmony with authority figures, the law. You'll find it easy to follow the law, follow the rules, see that the rules are sort of working out for you, working not necessarily in your favor, but you understand them, you're good with them. So there's an easement there. It could also be sort of an easement and an ease when it comes to your father figure or any kind of authority figure, like being in good standing and harmony and with your boss or anybody like that. So it's a really helpful trine that will last basically this whole year. So that's a blessing. And then we have, because we have all that energy in Aries, right? You guys, especially at the I'm going to say this to you, all of you throughout this week, because only at the very end of this week does Mercury drop into Taurus, and then it'll still be in opposition with those of you who have your natal sun at the very end of Libra season. So I would say all of Libra 3s, Mercury is going to be in opposition to your natal sun. What does that mean? It's almost like your own private Mercury retrograde. It kind of feels like that. A sense of, why am I slurring my words? Why am I tumbling over my words? Why are my words not coming to me? I'm a Libra ascendant. My ascendant is about 20 degrees Libra. And I'm telling you, if you've looked at my videos, my words have just been really jumbled for the past couple of days, and it will probably be for the next couple of weeks, for the next week. It's just a sense of, especially with an ascendant, when I'm speaking publicly and anything public facing. But there's just a sense of, for you guys with your sun, being able to really articulate what you're feeling, how you feel, like what you care about, where your motivation is, finding your courage to speak, to say something effectively, not coming off as strong as you would have wanted to. When there is an opposition to your Mercury, I'll tell you guys right now, it's not a great time to interview. It's not a great, I know, listen, we have jobs, we have obligations, you have to do what you got to do, but it's not the best time. You're not going to come across or be able to articulate yourself the best as you can and as you're really capable of, and it's not a great time to take a test. If any of you have a driver's test scheduled, the SATs scheduled, any kind of, I would reschedule it. I would reschedule for after this week when Mercury is safely away from your natal sun, so that you can focus better and really have full claim over your faculties. Just an FYI. So if you want, please do come across to Born Without Boundaries Tarot. I do a full week ahead tarot card reading for you guys. I hope you will come join me there. I love you like crazy. Please remember to subscribe to the channel. Then you can join me for our live chats when I go live to talk about daily astrology. You can join the live chats if you're a subscriber. Ring that notification bell so you know when I go live. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the videos.